Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 43 of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. We have come to that point of the season, the NASCAR Championship finale weekend from Phoenix International Raceway. We will break it all down for you from all three levels, the Cup, the Xfinity, and the Truck title. We'll break it all down for you coming up in just a few moments from right now. As always, we are presented by Whataburger. Just a reminder that the folks at Whataburger cook up 100% pure beef burgers 24 hours a day. You can get your burger fix anytime, day or night at Whataburger. Proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. What a burger. David Starr joins me right now. Dominic Oregon is here as well. David, before we get to the business of the day, man, I'm just glad we made it through a full season of this show, and it's been fun doing this every single week. David, it has flown by, and we have had a heck of a year, not only on this show, but on the NASCAR track as well. Certainly been a lot of fun to cover it all here on Let's Go Racing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Thank God for Dominic and Tyler. You guys are the heartbeat of our podcast, and it's been a lot of fun. It's fun to do something that's totally outside the box for me, but it's pretty cool to talk about our industry and have the cool guests that we have had. What a cool year it's been. I would have never imagined when you guys dreamed up this podcast and when it came to be, when we put it in when it came to be, we actually did it. How time just flies, but man, y'all have done a tremendous job on making this happen. I know a lot of my fans, and I hear people, they love our podcast, and I like hearing good criticism or let us know what people think about it, and they give it to me real, but man, you guys have done a great job, and it's been cool to do this for a season already.
Yeah, Dominic, we were on the road the last couple of weeks, but good to be back in our normal format over Zoom. And what a week we have ahead of us, really at all three levels here, starting on Friday night with the trucks and Xfinity on Saturday and Cup on Sunday.
It's going to be a great race week. And just to kind of go back there for a minute. Yeah, Dave, Tyler, awesome working with you guys. I can't believe it's been a year. We're always talking about episode 5, episode 10, and so forth. But we announced this podcast about this time last year, 43 episodes in. It's been a pleasure working with you guys. And like you said, David, you get approached by fans at the racetrack and they're telling us, hey, we love the show, or hey, you should have this person as a guest, or hey, you should talk about this. A lot of good feedback with the show. And I'm sure you get the same thing too, Tyler.
Yeah, certainly so. Everywhere I go on a NASCAR weekend, it's all about Let's Go Racing. And so we've been certainly privileged to bring it to you and doing the live shows on the road, and the response we've had and the giveaways we've done and such. Been a lot of fun for sure. And we're looking forward to 43 more episodes of Let's Go Racing down the road as we reach this Richard Petty milestone here on Let's Go Racing. David, let's start with you. Last week, you ran the Xfinity race. You were off on the Cup circuit. Tell us about Martinsville. You had the family out there as well making the trip. What was everything like last weekend for you in Virginia?
Man, anytime you go to Martinsville, hell, it's awesome. I mean, you grow. Most people that race grow up on short track racetracks across the country, and a Saturday night feature under the lights, Saturday night short track racing in America under the lights. I mean, hell, that's where you learn how to be a race car driver. And man, it was pretty cool going to going to Martinsville this past weekend and racing under the lights was pretty magical, man. It's pretty awesome. Anytime you race at any short track, Bristol, Martinsville, wherever, it's a lot of fun. And man, the race didn't disappoint. It was a great race. And unfortunately, our Brett Baer car, man, we had a great race car, but I think about lap 25, we had an engine issue. I think we blew a head gasket and lost a lot of power in the motor, and all we could do was just kind of stay out of the way and run on the outside. And we finished 24th on the lead lap. They were telling me about 40 laps to the end of the race. They said, hey man, you're in 15th on the lead lap. I say, That's not possible. That is not possible, but our car was so good. It turned so good. And these short tracks like Martinsville, you got to have a car that will rotate good in the center of the corner, meaning it turns good. And you got some great forward bite off the corner. And even though my motor didn't have all of its power, it was struggling. My car was pretty awesome. And I just drove the wheels off of it. And, for an engine that was running poorly, that had issues, it got to the end, still 24th is not bad, but man, I really thought if everything would have worked out good, that, we could have put our Rescue the Republic, Brett Baer, Toyota Camry, in the top 15, top 10, it was pretty strong and pretty good, but man, what a great weekend. The Xfinity race, there was a lot of drama, a lot of stuff going on. Then you back that up with the truck race earlier in the day. And then, the cup race on Sunday, man, what an awesome weekend of racing with a lot of drama, a lot of high intensity, with all the way it all shook out for everybody.
Yeah. We saw Alex Bowman get the victory on the cup side in a bit of controversial fashion there with the incident he had with Denny Hamlin, who, of course, was trying to stay alive to advance to the next round of the playoff. He still does so, and that sets up the championship four to be Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex. We're going to break down all three series championships, and we'll start with the Cup in just a few moments. But first, I want to backtrack to Martinsville. David, your perspective, what do you make of what happened there at the end with Alex Bowman getting that fourth victory and getting in the way of Denny Hamlin in the process? Was that just hard racing, or do you think that there was something else going on there? I know Denny wasn't too happy with how that all went down. What did you make of what went down there?
Man, you guys know, y'all been in the sport, you guys have been doing this a long time as well as I have. And man, it's just Martinsville, man. It's good short track racing, and man, it's hard racing, and the intensity was just over the top. And I think Alex Bowman was going forward. He'd been trying to pass Denny Hamlin, and Denny was making the outside line work pretty good. And he got into turn 3 just a little bit too hot, pushed up into Denny, and and around Denny went, but I can assure you, and you guys know this, Dominic, Tyler, y'all have seen this. Denny's been on the other end of that, where he got in the corner a little bit too hard, maybe hit the curb. At Martinsville, you got a curve on the inside. If you hit it, sometimes it shoots you up about a half car length. And I've seen it in the past where Denny was the guy that benefited from driving in the corner too hard, and he went on to win the race. This time, Alex Bowman had, Denny Hamlin's car and Alex's car were the class of the field. It looks like Alex's car was a little bit better, but Denny was trying to protect that line, squeezing him down. And it's just Martinsville, man. But I tell you, even though it's controversial, the drama of it was huge. People are talking about it. It's been all over social media. It's been all over the news. And it was pretty exciting, but I just think it's just Martinsville, man. It's a product of that type of racetrack. And I don't think Alex Bowman intentionally ran in there and said, hey, I'm going to wreck Denny to win. I just think it was just one of those racing things. And like I said, Denny's been on the other side of that. And you guys know that as well as I do. Sometimes, man, it works out for you, and sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? But I was glad to see Alex win. I thought that was pretty cool. The drama after the race was over was kind of cool for our sport. But I heard Denny Hamlin's crew chief telling him on the radio, hey, man, big picture, Denny's going to Phoenix this coming weekend. And he's got a shot at being the champion. You know what I mean? So even though he didn't win that race at Martinsville, I think there's a bigger picture ahead of him. You know what I mean? So, but in the spur of the moment, when you're that close, you want to win. And that's what the sport's all about, man. I call it passion. We're all passion. We want to win no matter what, even though Denny knew he was going to be in the top 4 going for a championship next week. He still wanted that Martinsville clock, and you can't blame him. But I like the drama. What's your thoughts on it, Dominic?
Well, Dave, I want to get your perspective here too, from a competitor standpoint too. Your thoughts on NASCAR making the no call to not penalize Denny Hamlin, right? Because we saw a lot of reaction on Twitter, and certainly over the years, NASCAR has come down on drivers for post-race altercations or drivers running into each other on cool-down laps or whatever the case. Did NASCAR make the right call on deciding to stay out of that with what happened on the burn down?
I mean, and I'd like to hear y'all's opinion on this, but my personal opinion is they did the right thing.
I agree.
Yeah, the old school. I mean, I'm kind of an old school racer. Let the drivers handle it. Let it, if we need to walk outside the racetrack amongst ourselves and go handle it wherever, let us handle it. We're the drivers. Keep the team guys out of it. Driver to driver, and I tip my hat off to NASCAR because they don't really need to get involved. You know what I mean? Sometimes they do, but I thought it was the right call for them to stay out of it, and it all works out, well,
David, for me, the most laughable thing, I know that Denny was riding high on emotions and such, and he was upset, and I get it why he was upset. But when he lays out that line saying Alex is a hack, I'm like, the guy's won 4 races this year. I get it that consistently he has not been the best Hendrick driver by any means. He's probably consistent wise, he's probably been the bottom of the barrel at Hendrick this year. He's been so up and down. His teammates are outrunning him. I get that. But 4 wins, he's had a career year. He's got the 48 car back in victory lane. Has he had a better year than Denny Hamlin? No. Denny's in the championship 4. He's been more consistent. But of all things to call Alex Bowman a hack, I would not. That's not what I would use to describe him. I think Alex has had a hell of a year.
A career year.
Absolutely. Call me a hack. I'll take those 4 wins. You can call me a hack all day long, buddy. And absolutely. I just think, sometimes we've all been there. Sometimes when we're on the wrong deal, on the wrong side of competition, we've all been there. Sometimes, the emotions get the best of us. And I think just at the time, Denny was pretty pissed off, and I think when he had the chance to go home, maybe trick or treat with his kids, sleep, you know what I mean? And wake up the next day. And, when you sit back and analyze, when you can see clearly and you're not so freaking frustrated and pissed off, I think he probably, looking back on it, he probably would have done something different. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes you really got to think before you open your mouth. And I just think he was just so mad. He was just looking for words. And, Alex Bowman is just a hell of a race car driver. 4 wins, drives a 48 car for Rick Hendricks. If he was a hack, and I don't even know what a hack is, you can call me a hack all day long. If I got 4 cup wins, I'll take it. And I'm driving for the best team in the industry. I mean, Alex Bowman, he's done a hell of a job. He won the race, and it's just the way it is. I just think you guys know this. I just think Denny was just talking from just being so frustrated. It didn't really make sense to me.
Well, Dominic, I would take a step further. I'm not trying to pump up Alex Bowman by any means. I like Alex. I like Denny too. I've talked to both of them multiple times. I think they're both good guys here. But Alex Bowman, I think, has actually been one of the best stories of NASCAR this year, of the way that he has elevated himself to get in victory lane 4 times, to bring the 48 car back. If we're looking at the stories of the year, I think Alex is one of the best in 2021.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to take that even a step further. And you look at where Alex Bowman was in 2014 and 2015, just scraping by for an opportunity in the Cup Series, running with BK Racing, running with Tommy Baldwin Racing. I remember him telling me in 2015, we were doing a story on Jeff Gordon's final race at Homestead, just talking with a lot of his competitors. And I asked him what his favorite memory was. And he goes, man, it was a lot of fun to race against Jeff Gordon. But I didn't really get to race against him competitively, but it was an honor to share the racetrack with him. And you fast forward 6 years, and here he is winning multiple races in the Cup Series. David, it kind of reminds me that feel of like Jeff Bodine or Mark Martin in the 1980s, when they were racing for ragtag teams and they finally got their opportunity and they made the most of it.
I totally agree with you. The Alex Bowman story, Noah's family, they're great people. And it's kind of cool. It's The Kyle Larson story is unbelievable. The Alex Bowman story is awesome as well. It's, because it wasn't handed to him, and hearing Dominic talk, I mean, for years, 2, 3, maybe 4 years, I mean, he was scraping the bottom of the barrel. He was just looking for an opportunity to get in a cup car and just do, starting parks, race in the back. He was just wanting to be there. And it's cool to see a guy that wants it that bad, worked that hard, get an opportunity with the elite, the best in the industry. You know what I mean? They didn't give it to him. He earned it. And Tyler, you're right, buddy. I totally agree with you. It's a great story of the season. I mean, obviously he's not in the Final Four, but man, that 48 car, like you guys said, it's been showing up a lot in the top 5, top 10. He's putting it back on the map and winning the races. I mean, if you win 4 cup races this year, there's guys that, I think Kevin Harvick loved to have those 4 wins, and a lot of other ones would, you know what I mean? So, call me a hack all day long, but hey, I'm smiling all the way to the trophy case and the bank. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, last time I checked, that clock still went back to Alex's house. Dominic, the top headlines for me this year, Kyle Larson obviously is number 1, and we'll dive into Kyle more in depth here in just a second. But Alex, the breakout star this year, what Trackhouse has done, and really coming out of left field, we didn't even know what they were going to be like. That, at this time last year, like, okay, and then all of a sudden Pitbull shows up. Now they're taking over Ganassi, and then Bubba getting into victory lane. Those are the 4 big stories for me that have resembled 2021. What stood out to you in 2021?
I think you're missing the big one, I think, Tyler. Michael McDowell winning the Daytona 500. The seas parting with the Team Penske drivers crashing on the last lap and coming through with an underdog story. You have to put that up there with what Derek Cope did in 1990 or what Trevor Bannon did in 2011. Underdog stories winning the Daytona 500. Pete Hamilton in the 1960s. These underdog drivers that were not expected to win the Daytona 500, and Michael McDowell got that done. I even think the Eric Almirola, right? The Stewart Haas Racing struggles of 2021, and they had their car dialed in with the 750 horsepower package at New Hampshire and pulled off the win and was able to squeak in the playoffs, knocking out drivers that probably ran better week in and week out each week. So those 2 also stick out at me. And I think the other one too, that kind of just shocks me as well, is how much Eric Jones has elevated the status of Richard Petty Motorsports and returning in 2022. Yes, granted, Jones didn't score a top 5 yet to this point this season, but the consistency of running in the top 10, running in the top 15, earning stage points, Eric Jones just helping that team kind of rebrand. Those are the 3 that really stick out to me. What about you, David?
Man, I'm just listening to you guys talk. I'm so busy, man, with my own racing and my sponsors. It's hard to, you guys and doing our Let's Go Racing podcast, I've had to pay a little bit more attention to what's going on in the sport. But to be honest with you, I'm just not that in tune. I mean, I try to keep up with it, but I'm so busy with our own racing program and our own sponsors. I kind of get lost in everything because I'm living in my own little racing world. You know what I'm saying? So listening to you guys speak about some big stories, I totally agree with each of you, I just, listen to Dominic talk about the Daytona 500. That was in February. Here we are in November. You know what I mean? It's amazing that you forget, but man, that was a cool time in our sport, a really great feel-good story to a driver that has worked his tail off and finally gets into victory lane. I just thought that was just amazing. And Eric Jones, I was glad to see, Eric Jones getting that 43, Richard Petty, our 43rd episode of our Let's Go Racing podcast. But, we're all big fans of Richard Petty, and it was kind of cool. I felt like when Bubba Wallace announced that he was going to be driving for Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan, I felt like, and this is my own opinion, that the Petties probably got their feelings hurt. You know what I mean? And But man, it all worked out for everybody because Eric Jones has done a tremendous job in that 43 car. And like Dominic was saying, you know, they're not winning races running the top 5, but man, you're sure seeing him a lot in the, you know, top 10, top 15 every week. It's been amazing. You know, there's just so many great stories.
Yeah. I mean, Eric Jones is a guy that maybe next year with this car potentially being an equalizer, if they can get some more funding, maybe Eric Jones can find a way into victory lane in 2022 and make the playoff of some sorts. Maybe that's what happens. We'll see. It's something certainly to think about. All right, this weekend.
And Tyler, let me not, I don't want to interrupt you, but, you know, just thinking about things, you know, I would have never thought that Brad Keselowski would have ever, you know, I mean, you were driving for, you know, Roger Penske. I mean, you know, that it's like driving for Hendricks, dude. It don't get much better than that. And, you know, hearing the news earlier in the year that Brad Keselowski was going to be moving on from Roger Penske's organization, I mean, that was a really big story. And to have some ownership partnership in Roush Fenway Racing, I mean, that's a big deal for Brad Keselowski. I mean, you know, there's just been so many stories, you know, and you talk about Ryan Newman, you know, my good buddy Ryan Newman, you know, been racing for a long time in Cup, and you know, you know, you think about Ryan, and I ain't really heard much about it, and I talked to him a lot, but you know, he you know, we might be seeing, I mean, it's possible, I don't know this for a fact, but Phoenix this weekend could possibly be Ryan Newman's last start as a Cup, you know, a NASCAR Cup driver. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just a lot. There's been a lot. So I think 2021 in our NASCAR world has been unbelievable with all the stories, the new cars, new people coming in, world superstar people, Michael Jordan. You said it earlier, Tyler Pitbull. It just, I mean, it's been an awesome year for NASCAR. That's for sure.
Yeah, and, you know, Brad Keselowski going to Roush next year, that guy works so hard. Nobody works harder than Brad Keselowski. They're not going to be content with where they're at right now. I expect Roush to be competitive pretty fast there with him under the helm, leading the program there. Colleague Racing with their emergence and getting a Cup win. Watch out for them, too. A lot of exciting stuff to talk about in the coming weeks.
You media guys have been, I don't know how you keep up with everything because there's so much, you know, I mean, I'm focused on my racing, you know what I mean? And you guys, y'all the storytellers, there's been so much out there, but you guys have been busy, you know what I mean? Because, man, it's just one great story and feel-good story. And this guy, I mean, it's just been an incredible season in NASCAR.
It has, and it's been an incredible season for Kyle Larson. He is the heavy favorite entering this weekend at Phoenix. Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin also with a shot at the title. And in case folks don't know, with the championship 4, highest finisher of those 4 on Sunday's race is crowned the champion. And Dominic, we are on a run. How many years has it been now where the winner of the final race has been the champion? That's been going on for quite some time now. It wasn't always that way, but as the formats have changed, this has been kind of the way things have headed this direction. And so I would be shocked if the winner of this race is not the champion based on the way history tells us. And David, you'll be out there Sunday. I would guess that a lot of guys are just going to be moving out of the way from these championship 4. They do not want to disrupt the championship race. Do you expect the winner of this race to be the champion again?
Man, I do. I mean, you know, week in and week out, you look at these 4 guys that are running for the championship. Yeah, they're usually the top guys that are first, second, third, fourth, fifth. You know what I mean? They're winners, every one of them. And, you know, and I totally agree with y'all that the winner of the race will be the 2021 champion. I totally agree with you.
Oh, absolutely. And Tyler, just to kind of add on to what you were saying, yes, since NASCAR moved to this format in 2014 in the Cup Series, the championship 4 format, that is, the winner of the race has gone on to win the championship. Guys, I can only think on 2 hands, or just here on 2 occasions in the last 7 years, where even a non-championship 4 driver even remotely competed for the win. That would be Jeff Gordon in 2014, leading the most laps, had a bad pit stop in one of the final runs of the race. Kevin Harvick goes on to win the race in the championship. 2016, Kyle Larson led a bunch of laps at the Homestead race. Jimmy Johnson outdueled him on a restart to go win the race and his 7th title. Outside of that, you look at that race at Homestead and how was it Phoenix last year? Oh yeah, your championship 4 guys. I mean, it's happened, I believe, twice where the top 4 finishers in the Cup Series race at Homestead were the championship 4 guys, 2018 and 2020. So there's a very high chance it could happen again.
You know, David, if this were at an intermediate racetrack, you know, a mile and a half, it would feel like it was over before it started that, all right, Kyle Larson's going to win this. But going to a mile track like Phoenix, not one of Kyle Larson's strengths, although he has many strengths, this is not one of them. This feels like the great equalizer of some sorts. Who do you think could play spoiler? Who's going to be the biggest threat to Kyle? It's not a guarantee that he's going to be the champion Sunday by any stretch.
No, you know, it's kind of interesting, you know, but, you know, you look at, you know, Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing. I mean, you know, I would say the 2 best teams in the sport right now, you know, and have been for years past. And to have just 2 organizations fighting for the championship, 2 drivers each, is, you know, not surprising to us. It's interesting, you know, that Kyle Larson, his dominance and his, you know, the perfection of a season he's had, and he has just been, you know, extraordinary. I mean, it's just people just don't have seasons like Kyle Larson's has had this year. But that being said, the way that the format is written and how it plays out, you can have a guy that was a champion the whole year, like Kyle Larson, led the most laps, won the most races, you know, yada yada yada. And then next thing you know, he has a flat tire, a car don't handle very well, or, you know, a speed row violation, or, you know, next thing you know, he's not our champion, you know. And I think this format really is just makes it where you don't know, you know what I mean? Even though if I was a betting man, I'd bet on Kyle Larson because he's been the man all year. But man, anything's possible, you know. So it's going to be exciting. I'll be out there racing on Sunday, and I can assure you that I will. My spotter and me will have a conversation. Hell, when they're 30 lengths behind me, I'm getting the hell out of their way. You know what I mean? You know, nobody wants to. You don't want to disrupt this championship race. I don't think anybody does. You know, let it play out on the racetrack like it's supposed to. But I think all of us, the fans, the racers, I think it's going to be. It's going to come down to the last lap. You know, I think those guys. I mean, they'll be racing hard. I mean, it's just going to be interesting. And like you were saying, Tyler, you know, there could be a spoiler. You know, look at was it last year when Chase Elliott won the race there and won the championship? So he gets around Phoenix really, really well. Denny's run well at Phoenix over the years. So, you know, you can't ever count out Martin Truex Jr. I mean, past champion. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's if any of them can win, you know what I mean? But, man, just judging from what we've all seen all year long, I would bet on Kyle Larson.
So let me ask you guys this, because all 4 of these drivers will certainly make a great champion, right? We have a chance at 2 drivers earning their first title, 2 drivers earning their second title. But Tyler and David, in your opinion, which driver would make for the best headline winning the championship in 2021?
It would have to be Kyle Larson, I think, when you talk about all that he went through last year. And we know the story, losing his ride and everything and sitting out most of 2020 to come back to a Hendrick team that didn't have a full-time sponsor. Rick Hendrick's paying that car out of his own pocket. And to find success so fast, to get in rhythm so quickly, for him and his crew chief, Cliff Daniels, to be on the same page so fast like they were, it's got to be Kyle Larson. And the way that he has carried himself too, David, it hasn't been that Kyle Larson has shied away from what happened last year. He has owned it. He has, you know, embraced it. He has come around to you're making an impact. We've talked to Willie T. Ribbs. We've talked to these others. We've seen what Bubba Wallace has said about Kyle Larson, and he's acknowledged it. He's grown from it, and he's become a better person from it. I think it's got to be Kyle Larson. If you want to talk about a comeback story, everybody loves a comeback. Everybody loves somebody getting a second chance. Kyle Larson getting it done in a dominating season. If he's not the champion, granted, I don't have a dog in this, but if he's not the champion, David, I'm going to be a little disappointed that this story doesn't end with the bow on it it deserves.
Man, I totally agree with you, Tyler. And I just think most of the racing people in America, these short tracks, the dirt tracks across the country, I mean, we all can identify with Kyle Larson, man. He's a racer. He'll leave a NASCAR race, go jump in a sprint car, go jump in a dirt late model, get in a midget car. I mean, he has brought so many new eyes back to NASCAR. I talked to a lot of people, a lot of my friends that are just, they're just dirt racers. They're just really, really good. They love dirt racing. They live, eat, and sleep dirt racing, and they don't follow NASCAR like they once did. And Kyle Larson has brought them back to watching NASCAR on television, and for them coming to a NASCAR race to see Kyle Larson. I just think Kyle Larson has done a lot for the sport. And I would totally agree with you, and I think Dominic would too, that I think the biggest story, and I think the way it should play out, Kyle Larson should definitely be our champion, because that is the biggest story. The comeback, being released by Chip Ganassi, losing your deal with Chevrolet, Chevrolet, and losing McDonald's, and just kind of everybody just kind of unfortunately walking away from you, and then for him being such a humbled. He's such an awesome guy, kid, race car driver. He's just really pleasant. He's nice to talk to. He's very humbled. I don't know. I totally agree with you guys that is the biggest story of the whole season, what Kyle Larson has done. No doubt about it.
Dominic, when you look at those other three drivers, as David mentioned, Chase did this last year. Denny Hamlin's still looking for that first title. Martin Truex has been a champion and won under this format before. Who's got the best shot to possibly take down Kyle Larson and win the title on Sunday?
And I feel like you can't look past Chase Elliott, right? And the circumstances on how he did that last year, too. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 or 3 pre-race inspection failures, so he had to start in the back. Car fails pre-race.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and he came from the back. He won the championship. I believe he led the most laps, too. Chase Elliott looks like he might be the guy to go out there and defend his title, but Martin Truex Jr., a guy that had never won at Phoenix Raceway, got that first win at the 1 mile track in March. He's the defending most recent winner at Phoenix Raceway. And then Denny Hamlin, I don't know, this is his, 4th appearance in the championship for him. He's never gotten it done. Safe to say, right, maybe he is this generation's Mark Martin, coming so close, has never won the title. Maybe he can break through on that Sunday. But I feel like of those other 3, Chase Elliott might be the other driver that puts up the best fight against Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and the Hendrick versus Joe Gibbs battle is going to be fascinating. 2 guys from Hendrick, 2 guys from a Joe Gibbs competing for the title. Going to be a lot of fun. We'll see how it all shapes out. Before we wrap up the Cup discussion, move on to Xfinity. Real quick, let's give a pick so we're on record. I'm going with Kyle. I know it's easy, but I got to go with Kyle Larson. Dominic, you going with Kyle too?
Man, you guys remember on this pre-race thing or pre-2021 season show we did, I said Chase Elliott was going to be the champion. I got to go Kyle Larson, though, Tyler. I think Chase is going to finish second in that race. Kyle Larson will be your champion for 2021. What do you think,
David?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta jump on y'all's bandwagon there, and I'm going to go with Kyle Larson myself. I mean, you talking about any of these guys can win the race. I mean, they're all championship caliber race car drivers, the best 2 teams in our sport. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Truex or, any one of them can win the race, but just, it's been such a Kyle Larson NASCAR season and what he's done. I'm going with Kyle Larson just because, man, it's just been incredible what we've seen and witnessed this year from him. And it's his championship to lose, but I'm going to jump on the bandwagon with you guys, and I think Kyle Larson's our 2021 Cup Series champion.
Let's look at the Xfinity title. Going to be up for grabs between Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger, Noah Gragson, and Daniel Hemrick. David, you've been running most of the Xfinity races this year. The Xfinity Series has been a phenomenal product. We've seen one of the best years, I think, ever in the history of this series in 2021. And Austin Cindric, the defending champion, AJ Allmendinger has had one of the best years of his entire NASCAR career and really figured out the oval program. College racing took a huge step up. Noah Gragson got that win last week. He's had an up and down season, but he's got a shot. And then there's Daniel Hemrick, who's been running up front for most of the year, but still looking for his first win. What do you make of Saturday's race on the Xfinity side? Who's going to be the guy to beat?
Man, it's the cool part about those four drivers. You're talking about four different teams there. You're talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr., Penske, Joe Gibbs Racing, and then Colleague, and which is just unbelievable what they've done since they stepped into NASCAR. Man, it's so competitive, and you look at Noah Gragson, the momentum he has from winning last week, and that definitely doesn't hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying? And be kind of cool to see Daniel Hemrick. Am I saying his last name right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, be kind of cool to see him. He's earned a way into the Final Four to run for the championship, but he's got a lot of second place finishes. I don't even know. I guess I asked the question, guys, did he win a race this year?
No.
Okay. I mean, it'd be kind of a great story for the first race for him to win in the NASCAR and NASCAR period. I don't even think he's won a NASCAR race.
You are correct, Dave. He's never even won at the regional K&N level. So this would be a monumental victory if he could pull that off Saturday.
Absolutely. That would be such a great story because he's never even won a NASCAR race before, and he's got a shot at winning the championship, and it's possible that our champion in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, it's possible could be a champion not ever winning a race all year long. That could be Daniel Hemrick, you know what I mean? But man, AJ Allmendinger, I mean, all these guys, I'm going to be out there racing against them, but man, it's going to be exciting to see who our champion is going to be. I mean, all four teams are just, deserving of them being in the Final Four, no doubt about it.
Dominic, for me, this feels like it's AJ versus Austin here.
Absolutely. Put AJ Allmendinger with 5 wins, Austin Cindric with 5 wins as well. Cindric, the defending champion of the series. Yeah, it's going to come down to one of those two. I would not be surprised if they battle it out like how they did at Bristol a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, I think, between those. I got to go with Cindric. That's who I lean towards. He's been in this situation before. I think Penske's a little bit better than Colleague, but those are the guys I'm watching for. David, who do you think gets it done on the Xfinity side there?
Man, God, it's a tough one. You know what I mean? It's like you got to go with the experience. Cindric, obviously being our champion last year and having such a awesome organization with Roger Penske behind them. But man, that's a tough one to pick. You know what I mean? AJ would definitely, all of them are hungry for that championship, but man, it's hard to say. I'm gonna have to go with AJ Allmendinger. You know what I mean? I mean, they just unbelievable what they've done. So absolutely. What about yourself, Dominic?
Man, it's going to be a fun race to go witness, and Tyler, I'm always thinking about, like, when I go to an NASCAR race, I'm going to cover it. You're always getting to witness some sort of piece of motorsports history, NASCAR history, and I don't think this weekend's going to be any exception to that. This will be my 5th championship race weekend to go be a part of, and man, I don't take that honor lightly. It's so cool to be able to have a firsthand witnessing account of NASCAR history playing out right in front of you.
Yeah, and when I look at this, we knew Austin Cindric was going to be good this year, Dominic, but for AJ Allmendinger, this is the guy that, he's won cup races before, but always struggled on the ovals. And, AJ, he went through some ups and downs too. We remember when he lost his ride and got suspended for the Adderall situation a few years back and all that went down there. I'm happy for AJ that he has found some new life here with Colleague Racing, been a part of building that program, but winning on non-road course tracks, that's been awesome to see, just AJ's reaction when he gets those wins. Can't be happier for the season AJ Allmendinger's had.
Oh, absolutely. Atlanta last year, I think, really paved the way for that, winning on the part-time basis, and at Las Vegas earlier this year, Michigan, Bristol. So cool to see all what you would call a road course ringer, the AJ Allmendinger, winning on some of these tracks that we would typically not see. You're absolutely right, Tyler. What a great story. And I'll kind of throw this back on you guys. Of all the four that are competing for that championship on Saturday, who would make the best headlining story as the title winner? I
think it's AJ for all the reasons you just said. What about you, David?
Man, I think it's AJ too. He's a good feel good story too, because it hadn't been easy for AJ, and he's had to work through some adversity over the years with different things, and but man, that team and what they have done in a short period of time is just it's cool to see. It's a great feel good story.
All right, let's go to the truck series. Dominic, this is a little tougher for me to figure out. Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, John Hunter Nemechek, Kim Starr has arrived. Say hi. Good to see you, Kim. Dominic, those four, I lean towards John Hunter, but I don't say that with any confidence at all.
Yeah, this truck build is going to be really hard to figure out, right, too. The one that I think stands out to me, you really can't rule out because he did it in 2019. What about Matt Crafton? ThorSport Racing kind of sneaking in the Championship 4 race. He won the title. He led 16 laps.
Without winning a race that year, right?
Season. Yes, and he won the title without winning a race. He's in a similar situation with 19 laps led, 0 wins, 5 top fives, and he's one of the 4 championship contenders. But I think the more interesting headline there too, and I remember hearing this earlier this year, is that if he was going to make the Championship 4 race at Phoenix as a title contender, Ron Hornaday, the 4-time Truck Series champion, would be on hand at Phoenix to see him try to tie the all-time Truck Series championship wins for championships. Crafton's got 3 titles, most recent coming in 2019. Guys, we could have Crafton win another title here. He ties Ron Hornaday, the Richard Petty of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, with all-time titles on Friday night.
Oh, yeah. David, Matt Crafton has to be a Hall of Famer, right?
No doubt about it. That's who I'm cheering for. And, Matt's such a great guy and a great race car driver. But, I raced with Matt for years. We both drove for GM Chevrolets for years. He drove for Kevin Harvick. I drove for Wayne Spears. And what he's done since my exit out of the Truck Series has just been incredible. And, if I'm cheering for somebody in the Truck Series, it's definitely Matt Crafton. Me and my wife and my son, Vancy, we were up watching the truck race this past Saturday for our Xfinity race. And man, I was cheering Crafton on, and I would love to see him tie up with my good friend Ron Hornaday. Hornaday, obviously Hall of Famer, one of the all-time best NASCAR, one of the all-time best race car drivers. But man, Hornaday was a tough competitor, and I would love to see Crafton tie up number 4 championship to equal Ron Hornaday. I think that would be pretty awesome,
That would be something. I'll be honest, nothing against Crafton. I don't want to see a guy that doesn't win get the championship, in all honesty, Dominic. Nothing personal, but, John Hunter, to me, Dominic, he has had a heck of a year running that Kyle Busch equipment, coming down from Cup because he wanted to win races. We know the guy's got talent. I would love to see John Hunter. You want to talk about a story. The Matt Crafton angle is one story. I like the John Hunter Nemechek story here.
That's a very good angle because you have a guy that ran for Rookie of the Year in the 2020 season in the Cup Series with Front Row Motorsports, picked up a few top 10 finishes, certainly outdrove that equipment, took a big gamble to maybe potentially take a lateral move to the 3rd-tier series of the National Touring Series of NASCAR and the Truck Series, and that's paid off. 5 victories. I feel like John Hunter is like the Kyle Larson of the Truck Series in regards to how he's had this comeback. He's won races. Anything short of a John Hunter Nemechek Championship on Friday night will be a disappointment, a huge disappointment for that team and the driver.
Yeah, we know the expectations with Kyle Busch and with that team, and they'll certainly be high come Friday night. I'm rooting for John. I think John Hunter's going to pull it off. Dominic, who do you see pulling it off?
Man, I swear, I'm not trying to copy you at all, but I think John Hunter's going to get it done. I've copied you on all three of these picks tonight, Tyler.
Great minds think alike. We'll go with you.
Go.
David, are you going with your boy Crafton, or do you think one of these others will get it done?
Man, I am, dude. I don't really know the other kids. I raced many years with Matt Crafton. Like I said, he was my, our team GM, Silverado Chevrolet teammate for years. And good friends. And man, I'm cheering for Matt Crafton. And it's just the way it all works out. He kind of snuck in. The race at Martinsville was incredible, high intensity, a lot at stake. John Hunter was lucky. I really felt bad for John Hunter because I thought for a point there that he wasn't going to make it into the Final Four, and just kind of how the race played out, he put himself in a position that he made it, because he got crashed early on, crashed out of the race, which was really unfortunate. I know it'll be an exciting race, it'll be a lot of drama, but I'm going to stick with my good friend Matt Crafton. You're talking about Ron Hornaday, Matt Crafton, guys that I've raced with for years in the Truck Series, and it's cool to see Matt make a living racing in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series for so long. I don't even know how many years it's been, but it's got, I want to say it's been 20 years. He's had a heck of a career, and I'd like to see him win another championship, because I believe that if he does, that he might have a shot at getting 5 or 6 championships, because I don't think he's done anytime soon,
Yeah, very well could be. All right, let's get to our news and notes. Dominic, plenty going on in the racing world, especially as we get closer to the offseason now, too.
Absolutely. A couple of headlines we're looking at every week on the show. We look at the top motorsports news and headlines around our industry. The one that we haven't really talked about, and I think it's worth noting, with Alex Bowman's victory at Martinsville on Sunday, Chevrolet claimed its 40th Manufacturer Series title in the NASCAR Cup Series, in the first in several years. So Chevrolet back on top as the manufacturer victor of the 2021 season in the NASCAR Cup Series. That includes 19 wins with Chevrolet this season.
Well, and David, one thing that we haven't talked about at all along those same lines is the manufacturing championship up for grabs this weekend. I don't think Chevrolet's clinched it yet, right, Dom?
Well, according to reports from Chevrolet, they did clinch it last week with their victory.
Oh, they did. Okay. Yes. Thanks for clarifying that. Yeah, Chevrolet has won the manufacturing championship. They've had a heck of a year. David, I know that you're racing Toyotas and Fords, but you've been a part of Chevy programs in the past. They pride themselves in what they put out there. I mean, this is big for them to be that manufacturer champion, and for Alex Bowman to deliver them that win last week.
Man, it's a big deal. These manufacturing, Toyota, Ford, GM, Chevrolet. I mean, these guys pump millions and millions of dollars into our sport. It's all business. They want these Chevrolets winning races. Very competitive. Toyota, Ford. I mean, these guys. I mean, it's you win on Sunday and people show up to the dealership on Monday buying cars. And it's a big deal for all the manufacturers involved, and for Chevrolet to clinch that this past weekend with Alex Bowman's win is a big deal. And these big manufacturers take pride in that, and it's a marketing tool, and man, they're here for only one reason, all of them, and that's to win and to sell more cars, more trucks, more vehicles, so it's a Tyler, it's a big deal, big business.
Yeah, for sure. Dominic, what else we got?
So on the other front, looking at the 2022 NASCAR schedule, this was pointed out to me actually by Tyler before the start of the show, and I thought this was a really good stat to kind of share with the fans for next season. When you look at the Cup Series schedule, and the announcing of the start times and what networks the races are going to be on, you're going to have 19 races on mainstream cable. So 19 of the 36 Cup races will be held between Fox and NBC over the course from February to November. But more importantly, that is the most we have seen on mainstream cable since 2009. So guys, we're having more races getting aired on Big Boy Fox and Big Boy NBC coming in 2022.
Yeah, more races on the big networks, on the broadcast networks. And also for the first time since that 2009 mark, there will be where the races on the big networks outnumber those on cable. So that means more eyeballs. We know it's well documented. You know, I work in TV, so I talk about this all the time, how people are cutting the cord on cable. Less and less people are paying for cable. They're getting, you know, the Hulu and Netflix and, you know, are turning off, you know, their Cox and Xfinity and all that. I know NASCAR is not going to like me saying that about Xfinity, but aside the point, David, just the fact, more access, easier to watch these races, network TV. This is a big deal for the Cup Series to have this many races back on network TV, especially in this day and age.
Man, Tyler, man, it's a big deal. You know, like Dominic said, big boy television, major networks. You know, and when you have an audience on major networks, man, you have eyeballs watching our races. We got more sponsors that will be interested in getting involved in NASCAR, and the sponsors you have that have been here for many years will get lots of exposure. So I just think everything's wonderful about it. I think it's good for our industry, the whole industry, and it's all positive stuff. So there's nothing wrong. I mean, you're a television guy. I mean, when you got more races on a major network, that just kind of says it says a lot about the health of our industry, the health of the sport. And I think, I think we're doing well these days, and it's growing and getting better each year.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the downturn of this sport was when you had that shift in the early 2010s when ESPN and ABC made the decision to remove a bunch of races off of ABC and go to ESPN, and that's when people were starting to cut the cord, weren't paying for cable anymore, and so that was really bad timing. And with the product that NASCAR is putting out next year of this next gen car and such, I mean, just more eyeballs, the better. Dominic, I think this is just a win-win for everybody, and for Fox and NBC too. I think it goes back to what NASCAR's done. They've had the bounce back in ratings. This is a reward for the product getting better.
I haven't heard it put like that, but I do like how you said that, because you're right. The ratings have had an uptick this year. And let's be honest, NASCAR nailed it. Coming back after a 2-month break in the pandemic, the uncertainty of the world, NASCAR is the first major sport back. And when we look back, I think 20, 30, 40 years from now, when they're talking about this era and the sports history books are talking, you always point at the 1979 Daytona 500 because there were so many eyeballs on the sport that day because of the big Midwest storm, that blizzard that had so many people inside and glued to the TV because there was nothing going on. They're going to look at 2020. And I think that's going to be a turning point for NASCAR as well. That sure, NASCAR didn't have the best ratings to the 2010s, and there was a slight decline, but the pandemic of 2020 had an upturn effect for NASCAR. The first major sport to be back. All major sports were looking at NASCAR. How are they going to get this race in? How are they going to get back to action? NASCAR nailed it. And I think because of that reward goes back to the fact that was 18 months ago, but they are reaping the benefits of that. NASCAR nailed it correctly when they returned in May of 2020, and they're going to continue to see the dividends paid from that.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, and I'd be curious to get David's perspective on this, I don't think I've ever talked about this with David, is that when we saw this schedule released and the TV times and all that, we're still not doing midweek races. We tried it during the pandemic because we had to, and then NASCAR chose not to do it in 2021. They're not doing it in 2022. The ratings weren't that good during the pandemic for those midweek races. David, is that something you'd like to see at the Cup or Xfinity level? Is some midweek races down the road? We're not getting it next year, but would you be open to that in years to come?
I'm being honest here, and I like auto racing on the weekends. You know what I mean? Because short tracks, dirt, it don't matter. Racing during the week, people got to go to work. They can't stay up late. the fans we have that follow the sport of NASCAR racing, when you pull into Bristol Motor Speedway, you pull into Texas Motor Speedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway, and you see all those campers and fifth wheels and tents, and I mean, it's the environment is electric, man. There's so much passion and so much energy in the air with the fans, and you know, a lot of the fans, you know, they take a vacation, you know, Pocono, Pennsylvania, you know, they're taking off Thursday and Friday and leaving Wednesday night from their homes, going to the racetrack, camping for 4 or 5 days, you know, and man, that's part of the excitement of the energy of our sport, the fans, you know. So, you know, racing during the week, you know, I wouldn't mind maybe one race during the year to race on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night, you know, but man, I'm still not sold on racing during the week because I think it takes away from the environment of how cool it is that we have all these race fans there, you know, and then there's bonfires and man, people are partying, having good times. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I love the fans. I love the crowds. I love the infields and I don't know, just racing during the week when the people can't come and camp out. And I think that's just part of the energy of our great sport, you know. So I'm not sold on racing during the week just yet. And I don't know if I'll ever be sold on it, Tyler.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Before we get to our Ask David segment here real quick, don't forget that every Whataburger is made fresh, served hot, and prepared just like you like it. Want jalapenos and cheese on that? No problem. They've got you covered. Whataburger, proud to serve it hot and fresh 24 hours a day. Let's go ahead and get to the mailbag where you can hit us up on Facebook at David Starr Podcast, Twitter at Starr Podcast, and by email, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. And David, our first question comes from James. James wants to know, David, are you rooting for your hometown Houston Astros in the World Series?
I am big time, and I'm sitting here doing our podcast, and just above, you can't see it, but I got the TV on. I keep glancing up there. You know, hey, I'm Houston proud. I'm a Houstonian, and man, I grew up going to the Astrodome. I'm a big Astros fan. I'm a big baseball fan, and it's just an honor to be in the World Series. But man, you know, once you're there, it's like going to Phoenix next week. If you're in the Final Four, you know, you want to win it. You want to win it all, you know, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But man, I've been an Astro fan since I was a little boy. I'm proud, and I'm cheering them on, but I don't believe they'll be our World Series champs this year. But it's pretty cool that they're in the World Series, and just glancing up a little bit, the Atlanta Braves just won the World Series. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, just you know, being able to compete at that high level, making it to the you know, to the World Series, I'm definitely proud and a big fan.
David loves the cheaters. He loves those Astros. The way they bang on those trash cans.
Absolutely, no doubt.
Dominic, are you much of a baseball fan?
I guess if I had to say I'm a baseball fan, you could call me a bandwagon fan. I followed a lot of the World Series in 2004, and the Red Sox broke that big curse from not winning since, 1916 or 1917. So if I were to say I'm a baseball fan, I would say I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, but I don't follow it close enough to really say I'm a true fan of Major League Baseball.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Did you guys play baseball?
I played in third grade. I quit after the third grade. That wasn't for me. Did you play, Dom?
I was told I was going to play in fourth grade, and for whatever reason, it never happened. I just played it at recess a lot. I enjoyed watching my brother play in 2007 when he was in third grade, but didn't get to formally play like with the city league or anything. You, Dave?
Did you play?
My brother Jimmy, my older brother Jimmy, and my younger brother Johnny, and man, we played from the time we started at T-ball and all the way to high school. And my uncle Mike made it to the major leagues. I mean, we're a big baseball family, so it was just, we grew up playing baseball. So you can't help, you know, still passionate about. I love all the sports, you know, but but it's cool when your hometown, where you're from, the major league team from, from where I'm from, the Astros made it to the World Series again. Those damn cheaters are pretty damn good. You know what I mean? And no matter where you're at in the country, you got to be proud of where you're from and support your major league teams and from where you're from. You know what I mean? So I'm one of those guys, and I love baseball.
Yeah, and Chase Elliott was at the game the other night, right after the Martinsville race. He made it out to see some of the World Series there, cheering on his Atlanta Braves. So I'm sure Chase is happy to see his team win the title, and maybe he'll get a title this weekend, go for 2 for 2 there.
There you go.
Now, David, right down the road from you, the Rangers, they got that new ballpark. You been out there yet?
Oh, absolutely. It's unbelievable. I'm a big Ranger fan, obviously live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But I'm a Houston Astro fan first, and then a Texas Ranger fan second. But man, the new ballpark is just incredible. And you look at all the baseball parks around the country; they're kind of like our racetracks. We got some awesome speedways across America. And I talked to a lot of our race fans. A lot of them are big baseball fans. I was just talking. Kent Nelson, my good friend, that's been working at the Texas Motor Speedway for, since the place opened. Him and his boys, man, they on vacation. I mean, they try to hit, I think, 15, 14 baseball fields, major league games, and there's a lot of people like that. But man, these stadiums that they're playing these major league, these teams are playing with in across the country, man, they're state of the art. It's unbelievable where baseball is today.
Oh yeah. All right, got another question. This one's from Slick Rick. Slick Rick writes to the inbox. David, what are your plans this offseason?
Man, that's I can't even. I mean, there's so much going on. My Uncle Mike, who owns the Team Texas High Performance Racing School based at the Texas Motor Speedway, he's kind of semi-retiring, and I will, here in about another week or two, be the sole owner of our racing school that we've had for 30 years. And man, that's going to keep me busy. I got some awesome sponsors and some new sponsors. I'm looking forward to racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2022 full time. And man, it's just, there's not a dull moment in my life, and I got a beautiful family. My boys are 9 and 12, and my youngest one, Vance, is starting to race dirt cars. And my older boy, DJ, plays basketball and football. He's been tearing it up. And man, sometimes I said, man, we need an extra hour in the day. You know what I mean? Because man, I just don't have enough time to get it all done. But it's the off season is, we call it the off season, and you guys understand this, but I think we're more busier in the off season than we are during the season, just because we're putting our deals together, trying to figure this out. And just, I like to slow down a little bit and enjoy the holidays. I love Thanksgiving. I love my family. I love the meaning of Christmas, man. I'm a big Christmas guy, Christmas lights and Santa Claus. And, I'm pretty geeky about Christmas. I'll start listening to my Christmas music here in about another week, and I don't know. I love the spirit of Christmas and the meaning of it. And, but man, it's the off season, and you guys know, because we've been friends for a long time, the off season can be very stressful as well, because you're trying to put your deals together with your sponsors, have enough funding to build a race full time. And, but anyway, our off season this year will be exciting. It'll be stressful. It'll be fun. It'll just be really, really busy.
Oh yeah. I mean, it doesn't stop. I remember, last year around Thanksgiving, I'm getting a call from David on the night before Thanksgiving, and we're trying to organize podcast stuff. I mean, that just goes with it. We'll have a lot going on. I'm going to be, going to, Dallas and spending a couple of days with David and Dominic here sometime next month. And, of course, celebrating the holidays, seeing family. I mean, and what do you know, just like that, we'll be right back in Daytona again. It goes by quick. Dominic, what's on your plate in the offseason?
Yeah, you're right. I think we're just going to stay busier. I'm looking forward to wrapping up that project with Jeff, and you guys know we've made it no secret working on his book. So we're hoping to wrap that up this off season, and hopefully we can announce that real soon. More fine-tuned details with that. But outside of that, I mean, family time, spending a lot of ample time here in New Mexico with loved ones, and man, we'll just see what the off season brings. Look forward to making some off season trips. And as much as I enjoy getting out to a NASCAR race weekend, it's also a lot of fun to make trips to non-NASCAR venues and go spend time with people you enjoy seeing, like you guys selves. So look forward to doing that this off season.
Dominic's got a beautiful new love in his life, and that requires a lot of time, and man, that's exciting stuff. You know what I mean? So, you got a lot of stuff on your plate, buddy. So all of us do, but
well, Dave,
but
I put it this way, man, and I can't remember exactly who I heard it from, but right, we're all busy people. I hate to use that word busy, because we really are. A lot of our time is accounted for, but you definitely make time for the things you enjoy doing. Man, I work 4 jobs altogether, and it's because I'm kind of a workaholic. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy all the different hats and roles that I get to wear, but it keeps me busy. But at the same time, I also enjoy getting to spend time with the people I enjoy the most. And if you enjoy it so much, and you enjoy what you do, you make time for the things you enjoy.
Absolutely. And hey, we can't forget about our podcast here. We got work to do, and we're going to continue doing our podcast, and we're going to make it bigger and better. And so not only do we got a lot of stuff going on, but we got to take care of our racing fans, our podcast fans, and make sure our podcast is healthy and strong to continue on too. So there's never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. That's for sure, Tyler.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We're going to be all over it. We're still going to be doing this show throughout the off season too, bringing it to you on about every Wednesday like we normally would. And we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about. We'll get more into our long form interviews. We've been doing the show the last few weeks, just the 3 of us, because we've had so much going on. But the off season is a chance for us to have more of a conversation with folks. And so we'll do things and get back to having more guests, and hopefully some big time guests here in the coming weeks. So look forward to that. All right, before we get out of here real quick, Dominic, what's going on with you these next couple of days? You're going to Phoenix.
I'll be there, man. 5th championship race weekend I get to cover, and 4th consecutive. Something I don't take lightly. I mean, I always try to treat every race weekend as the last one. I'll be out there with Jonathan Field. We'll be covering the NASCAR race weekend. We'll have some kick-ass coverage from Phoenix Raceway, and I look forward to seeing you out there, David.
I look forward to it, buddy.
You and you guys going to be eating some Whataburger together, I'm sure.
Oh, heck yeah, man.
That even a question, of course, man. I love that. Yes, we certainly will. Spicy ketchup, some milkshakes. It's going to be a lot of fun.
David,
I have Whataburger today for lunch, buddy.
Oh, man. See, I haven't had it in like 2 weeks, so I'm really looking forward to having some out in the Phoenix area this weekend.
David, you'll be out in Phoenix. Last race of the year, of course. Tell me about what's going on with you and your crew. You got a lot of people making the trip.
Absolutely, man. It's just an exciting weekend, to see all the champions that are going to be crowned this weekend, and, racing the Xfinity race, running our Whataburger Toyota Camry this weekend in the Xfinity series. Then backing that up, we got some support from Bob Menery on our Cup car for Sunday's race. But a lot of fans, a lot of friends going to be there. And, I'm actually leaving tomorrow, headed to Phoenix. I was going to leave Thursday, but man, if I stay another day here around home here, man, I can't stop working. I need to go to work to relax. You know what I mean? I need to go to Phoenix early just so I can relax, have a little bit of downtime. But kind of cool. We're going to have practice Friday afternoon. The Xfinity cars, there's I think 44, 43 cars trying to make 36 car fields. So we all got our work cut out to make sure that we race Saturday. There's going to be qualifying. So kind of a fun weekend to race in 2 races. And but man, what exciting weekend it's going to be to see who our champions are going to be. That's just a kind of a cool thing. And then when the race is over with and your season's done for 2021, you kind of reflect a little bit on the whole deal. It's just a lot of emotions, but they're great emotions.
Yeah, I think the catalyst for this podcast was the first time that the 3 of us got together at the Olive Garden after the championship race of 2019. And that was kind of, where our relationship with the 3 of us started. And so, who knows what could happen. Obviously some great stuff ahead this weekend at Phoenix. We'll look forward to it. We'll break it all down next week when we'll have a new champion and report for you live here on Let's Go Racing with more on the championship, and look ahead to the offseason on next week's show. that will about do it for us. We'll put the checkered flag out on this episode of Let's Go Racing. As always, subscribe to the show, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and on YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review or don't leave us one at all. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. Twitter @Star Podcast, Facebook.com/David Starr Podcast, and by email, davidstarpodcast@gmail.com. For Dominic Aragon, David Starr, and Tyler Jones saying so long. It's been another edition of Let's Go Racing. We'll see you next week.